Acknowledgement of country. Yass Valley Council recognises the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of land, water and sky. We pay our respect to their elders past, present and future emerging leaders. We extend our respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live in the Yass Valley local government area. Prayer. Let us be still and remember the presence of God. As we commence our meeting, let us together pray for guidance and help. Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the true welfare of Australia and the people of Yass Valley. Amen. Thank you, councillors. Okay, first item on the agenda, of course, is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 27th of January. Apologies, sorry. It's already been a late night. Councillor Burgess, moved Councillor Turner, seconded Councillor Abbey. All those in favour, those against, declare the motion carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Or disclosures, none. Okay, confirmation of the minutes. Councillor Reid and Councillor Cameron. Confirmation, all those in favour, those against, declare the motion carried. We're on minute nil, reports to council, 6.1, Yass Valley Development Control Plan, post exhibition. There's recommendation.
Mr Mayor, so moved.
We have Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor Reid. Any discussion?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to note that we are making a commitment to review the DCP within the 18 months from the date of commencement. So I think any issues that come forward, that's our opportunity to check that it's fit for purpose. And I just want to give this opportunity for the Director to speak to this, because this is our inaugural DCP.
Thank you, Councillor Jones.
Through you, Mr Mayor. But I really would like to just acknowledge the work of the Yass Valley Council staff and our former Manager of Strategic Planning, Ms Macon, who was instrumental in commencing this project. They have put a lot of time into the document. The document cuts across several parts of council, so they've been collaborating particularly with the infrastructure and assets team and that part of the team who deal with development, and also within the planning and environment team there's been a lot of collaboration to produce this document. So I'm very happy that we've managed to get it on exhibition. We've gone through an exhibition period. We're very happy with the submissions that we've received, and it would be great to see it endorsed by council and hopefully commence operation on the 1st of August. So really, thank you to council and thank you to the staff of Yass Valley Council who've done this work.
Thank you, Director. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cameron.
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments on this particular motion. I think it's good to see that this has finally arrived, and it's taken a long time, and I think it's been a very good effort by all concerned. I think I think there've been some very good and thoughtful submissions placed on record, which I think is excellent. In particular, we've recently seen that Gundaroo's won an award, and there were a couple of submissions obviously talking a lot about Gundaroo and wanting to keep the small village idea going as long as possible. I think there are a number of positives, so I'd just like to mention quickly, seeing we're running out of time this early. All services underground in residential developments, great. Water sensitive urban design mentioned, great. Need for provision of gas removed, fantastic. And the review in 18 months is excellent as well. On the negative side, only a couple. one of the things with the review, I think it should be, the way it's spelled out in the briefing papers seems to be relying on, let's see if there are any complaints and then we might do something about it. I think it should be a lot more proactive and really trying to find out whether it meets the community's needs and thoughts about the DCP. So I think it's, I think we need to be much more getting out there and seeing what people think of it. And I know that's a hard task, particularly on a document that relates to developments around the town, but I think people often have strong views on those sort of things. The only other two negatives are minor, well, one's minor, which is we're talking about dealing with stormwater as a problem on residential developments, but we haven't been looking at how we might be able to reuse water in particular developments in a more sort of environmentally friendly sort of way, whether it's ponds, pools, whatever. I also think the climate risks are mentioned, which is great, but I think we should really embrace it a lot stronger than perhaps what's come out so far. So we'll be looking at that in 18 months' time, hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Declare the motion carried. 6.2 planning proposal, 3047 and 3071 Barton Highway Number. Which recommendation? Councillor Jones.
I would like to move the motion with the following adjustment. That the draft planning proposal for 3047 and 3071 Barton Highway, Mount Bacon, be endorsed subject to amendments being made to the planning proposal incorporating pedestrian connection to Scrubby Lane, subject to ability to acquire neighbouring land to enable the connection to occur, and provision being made for a Category 3 playground, and part 2 of the recommendation as you see on the screen.
Secondly, Councillor Barton.
You just need to get that up on the screen.
So it's, there's a horrible lag, as you can see.
Do you mind just reading that again? Or?
Certainly. So the proposal before you be endorsed subject to amendments being made to the planning proposal incorporating pedestrian connection to Scrubby Lane, subject to ability to acquire neighbouring land to enable the connection to occur, and provision being made for a Category 3 playground. And part 2 of the recommendation as you see it in your business papers. So that's part 1.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor.
Oh, we had a seconder already. Councillor Butler. Sorry, Councillor Turner. She was just slightly faster off the blocks.
My hearing aids can't work.
That's correct.
Between your hearing and my eyes, I'm in big trouble.
Thank you, Councillor Mike.
So the revised,
Yes,
so
that's
the
correct.
alternative wording is up there on the screen at the moment. Let's worry about the formatting a bit later. But basically, I think that's the essence of what you're trying to get at, Councillor Jones.
Yes, that's it, yes.
Okay. Wish to speak to your amended motion, Councillor Jones?
For the invitation. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think this is an area that is in need of pathways to connect. I think we can all agree that more needs to be done under the limitations of what we can actually ask a developer to do. I think this is within the bounds of friendship in that area. I did check if we could include the winery trail, and apparently that's a trail too far.
Not a bridge.
Not a bridge too far, but a trail too far. And that's a complex project. So I think this is achievable. I think it will certainly make that missing link that we need to the neighbouring residential area. And I think given the distance to other amenities, a playground is warranted.
Thank you, councillor Jones. Any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Roos.
Yes, this isn't really speaking for or against the motion. I just have a question through the CEO to the Director of Planning. We're talking about south side of Murrumbateman, where the subdivision allows for 5 acres, roughly speaking. And now we're going to reduce that down to about 2. But on the other side of McIntosh Circuit, just north of the Yass, there are a whole plethora of 5 acre allotments. Does this mean that we're going to allow these other allotments to be similarly subdivided by what we're doing here? So that a lot of them are dual occupancy at the moment. So does this mean that they could now ask for agreement to divide their 5 acres to 2 acres each? And I'm declaring an interest here because I've got one of the blocks on.
Thank you, councillor Roos.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the question, Councillor. It's not actually something I had anticipated at this point in time. This planning proposal relates to a matter that was raised with me a couple of years ago when we were still willing to consider planning proposals that aligned, to use that word, with the settlement strategy. So at this point in time, my advice around anything related to the south side of McIntosh Circuit is that it would need to be considered as part of the settlement strategy review. I think I've previously advised council at this point in time that unless it's specifically in the settlement strategy, we wouldn't be considering it.
Okay, councillor Cameron.
Yeah, look, I think I'd like to make a couple of comments. I think I will argue against the motion, and for a particular reason. The amendments I think are great, and I think really does sort of try and build this particular development, if it does go ahead, as part of the community with the footpaths. I think that's excellent, and the playground might be a great idea as well. I think that's all very valuable. I think the thing that worries me a lot, and I know the issue has been discussed in the past, that this whole thing about gateway determination and whether it sort of gives the sense that council is approving this project before there's really any community consultation. And I just think that I would have liked to have seen the briefing papers on Thursday, and that's not a criticism because we got them on Friday, but I was at the Murrumbateman Community Association meeting on Thursday night, and it would have been interesting to see how they saw this particular development and have a bit of a discussion about it. So what I'm saying is that I think the problem that I have is that I don't like the consultation process with the gateway determination, and I presume that that's straightforward legislation of how it's done, but I think, you know, my view would have been that it would have been nice to have this particular idea out in the community and people talking about it, because I think it does make quite a big change, moving it down from really doubling the number of residences that are going to be there. I think there are some other issues of concern as well, minor flooding, impact on biodiversity, etc. But I suppose my major concern is really traffic. You know, some of the stats that were mentioned in the briefing paper, you know, nearly 11,000 vehicles a day. I would never have guessed that that was the number. You know, heavy vehicles, 25% of total traffic volume. And when the speed limit was 100 k's, you know, we had a significant number of people over that speed limit. Now that it's gone to 80, is it going to go down? A little bit on the doubtful. So really I'm sort of arguing against it only because I think I'd like to see more community consultation. I think I'd like to see the study that's gone into Transport for New South Wales. I would like to see that come back from them. I don't think it's come back. And just what they have to say about it. So, you know, I'd prefer that this would be deferred. But I think I'll vote against it just on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Yes, I'd like just ask the director to comment.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you. So, councillor, I just want to respond in terms of the pre-consultation regarding gateway determination. I'm not sure if that's entirely appropriate, given that at that point in time, council has not formed a position around the planning proposal. So really, until council's formed an opinion around the planning proposal, I'm not sure if it, pre-consultation is necessary because council hasn't made a decision about whether or not it's going to move it forward. The gateway determination really is just giving council the authority to move forward with the assessment of the planning proposal, to undertake the community consultation, and council does have the option later on in the process that if they don't support the planning proposal, that they can make that decision. In terms of the documentation around the traffic, just bearing in mind that these two lots are already zoned for residential, large lot residential development at the 2 hectare size. I believe that they have prepared a traffic impact statement, and I have stated in the report that they are available to council upon request. There will be consultation with Transport for New South Wales if we get the gateway determination, I think that's mentioned in the report, and that information would come back to council for your consideration. And just broadly in terms of community, in terms of the public exhibition, look, it goes on exhibition, the gateway determination advises council around how many days that needs to be, and that's provided for in council's community engagement strategy and also within the environmental planning assessment.
Question for the Director of Planning. Looking through you, Mr Mayor, does the, it's our decision to go for a gateway determination. We could say no to that, couldn't we?
Through you.
I don't quite understand the process. Like, it seems to me as though, do we have any right to say no, we won't do a gateway determination?
So through you, Mr Mayor, council can make the decision not to endorse the planning proposal and not proceed to gateway determination. Yeah, you have that right. There is, I'd have to check the legislation. I think there is some appeal rights, and I use that term loosely because I think it's back to the department. If council was to make that decision, I'd have to check the legislation for you. But council does not have to endorse the planning proposal, and it does, and on that basis, you would not proceed to a gateway determination.
Thank you.
Councillor Bob.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. I'd just also like to ask the Director of Planning 2 quick questions. First question is, can you just confirm, is this the last of the residential land in that area? Is this like the last two? Because I believe the adjoining stuff is already kind of dealt with, but this is kind of just, after these two, that's it, there's no more. And I'm just, so if it's going down to 1 hectare, that's 10,000 square metres, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I do believe we've done a little bit of analysis of land at Murray Bateman in recent times. So this is, my belief is that this is the last of the land that's zoned for residential purposes that is undeveloped. The balance of what's there in Murray Bateman has a consent on it, or it's being constructed, or has been, as previously advised to council, really the next lot of planning study type work will be related to North Murray Bateman, which has been identified in council's development program.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. I would just like to firstly thank you, Councillor Jones, for capturing the connectivity through Scrubby Lane. I don't know which block it is out of the two, but it does appear in the maps that we have that it does connect almost immediately onto Scrubby Lane. So I think if we can capture that and harness that as a through fare to Macintosh Circuit, that would be imperative. The Category 3 playground, I think we can do better than that. I think that we need to give a little bit more of a guideline as to what we would like to see instead of just give them a category 3, because we ended up with a very, very sad category 3 playground in the fields. But, you know, the developers just did what they had to do, literally followed by the book. So I think if we could actually let them know, well, this is what we expect to see in terms of a playground. We know it's not going to be category 1, but it could be better than a single rocker and a swing and a bench that faces away from the swing. So, and one other thing that I had thought of was, and I'm not entirely sure how appropriate it would be, is there a way in new large rural developments that we could start allocating some section on the side of these roads, which I assume wouldn't be curved and gutted roads because they're in large lot rural areas, which is fine, and pedestrians are used to walking on these roads, so there's not a huge amount of traffic. But if we could start maybe including even just a single solid line towards the verge of the road, which would indicate a safe passage for pedestrians to walk on, just to delineate between cars, I think that that's important in large rural residential developments at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dutcher.
Through you, Mr Mayor, perhaps you change from category 3 playground to an appropriately sized playground.
I noticed on the screen it says there's an error and that YouTube is not reading whatever. It looks like it's not recording. Is that?
No, it's recording.
It is. Thank you. Sorry.
So you might want to make it an appropriately sized playground rather than be specific about a particular category. It's up to you.
Through Mr. Mayor, if I can get some direction from our director, because it's my understanding that we have to be quite explicit and we have a what can we direct the developer to?
Go to category 1.
Sadly, I don't think we're going to capture it.
We can always negotiate.
How do we go about it?
Go up.
Because my idea would be quite grand compared to the developers, I'm sure.
Through you, Mr Mayor, not wanting to contradict the Chief Executive Officer, who's also the supervisor. Look, the playground strategy has the categories in it and it provides clear guidance to the staff and to the community around the expectations for a playground. So it's very specific in that it relates back to something, a terminology that we already use. I'd just like to say, like in relation to the Fields playground, that was identified. I just want to acknowledge that the developer has agreed to make changes to that playground for improvements. So I don't wish to say anything else.
Through Mr. Mayor, I will take a little bit of rope that I've been given and say an enhanced category 3 or above playground, so they know that we expect them to come with a cup very full.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll make a note to ensure that I see the playground plans myself. See if it meets expectations.
Okay. Prepared to vote, councillors? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Cameron. I'll declare the motion carried. Okay, we go on to 6.3, development application, Service Department, Kears Road. There is a recommendation.
Through Mr. Mayor, before I put a motion, could I ask the Director of Planning just a couple of questions, 3 in fact. Can I just confirm that the condition in 18 about the fencing, is that for the whole boundary fence or is that only for the fence on one part of the block, or is it entire boundary fencing?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So it's not for the whole of the boundary to be fenced. One particular reason for that is that some of that land is flood liable and that fence would get damaged.
Yeah.
And the other reason being, it then calls in the Dividing Fences Act and another range of other issues that could occur. What I probably should have done, councillor, is circulated a plan that, I had one of the planners produce, just sort of interpreting condition 18, but essentially it is around fencing the service apartment type area, so the fence would run along the northern boundary for a portion, and then it would run north-south, from Kears Road up to the boundary on the northern side. I'm happy to circulate this, it's probably really difficult for the councillors to see. But essentially you've got the development here and the fencing would run there, so essentially it becomes a very large yard for the service departments.
So that's already built into condition 18, or we
Yeah.
need to specify?
No, that's built into condition 18, so the condition 18 essentially says landscaping along the northern boundary, and the landscaping is to include a landscape